I'm Anna Linden. I work for SAP. I'm leading the global product marketing for supply chain planning solutions. And in that role, I also very warmly welcome everyone to our headquarters in Waldorf. I hope you have a good time. I see the agenda is packed and full of good stuff. Now, what do companies want to get out of AI in supply chain or intelligence in supply chain? More automation, more intelligent decisions, their quality, speed, productivity, their bottom line. You want to do something which is not easy, and for that you have certain instruments. When we're thinking about machine learning, it's all over the place. Statistical forecasting evolving into AI-based forecasting. But if you're thinking about what happens before you're actually forecasting, the whole segmentation piece, the outlier corrections, the time series analysis, all of this can be machine learning based, yeah? And it's not that the process itself is different. So you're still doing outlier correction, you're still doing pre and post processing, you're still doing the segmentation. It's just boosted by better technology and better algorithms, and it's faster. So it's really helping you to improve the plan, the demand plan in this case. Same if you think about inventory, inventory optimization has been around. It's not super new. Some optimization is obviously better than others. But if we're thinking, for example, ahead, like service level prediction, instead of just, having a contract with your customer to really predict the service level, predict the lead time. That's a huge use case we're seeing with customers, because lead time is usually master data setup, right? So it's somewhere in your ERP system. A consultant 20 years ago entered a number for lead time, and that's what you use everywhere across your supply chain. And it's always wrong, because the lead time 20 years ago is not the lead time you have today. So predicting the lead time based on actual data and actual orders that you are seeing today with the constraints of today has a huge impact on better inventory management and better supply planning, for example. Now with generative AI, it's a little bit of a different story. In supply chain, we are not necessarily trying to improve the plan, but improve the productivity and the way people actually work with the solution. So for example, I have one demo example later where we can actually explain the optimization results from a complex optimization. Yeah, that's one aspect where generative AI plays a huge role, and it's quite the big field right now. So we have a lot of a huge ecosystem of large language model vendors. From the classics, OpenAI, Google with Gemini is getting pretty good at this point. Microsoft, AWS, Aleph Alpha from Heidelberg, Anthropic, Databricks, and so on. So there is a huge, a run right now towards these large language models. And all of them have slightly different pros and cons. Yeah? So not every large language model or not every vendor is really fit to support each and every use case. So it's not that is what we are seeing, that you only choose one and that serves all of your purposes. Yeah. But we do see that there are differences in how these models run, and some are better fit for a certain use case than others. And obviously, you need something on top of these solutions where a user can actually talk to. And natural language, a co-pilot. Microsoft has its co-pilot. SAP calls it Joule. It's basically a digital assistant that sits on top of the classical software, and it's kind of interfacing between what the business side of things, so the applications are doing, and how the large language models are adapting certain use cases here. So it's a little bit of a different concept. While the machine learning, like additional forecasting algorithms, they usually sit inside of the applications. So here it's a little bit of a different concept, at least from SAP side, and it has different use cases that we can then run with that. One of them is to connect, for example, a documentation, so that the user, if they have a question how something works within a solution, can just, ask, like, how do I create a new material? What's this forecast model doing? What's this parameter doing, or whatever? But it can also explain complex results like the optimization, for example. And that's one example I'd like to show you. For example, now this is a planning view. Classical view has been existing for ancient times. You have certain key figures. You have a product, a customer in this case, and you're seeing the customer demand, the fulfilled and unfulfilled demand, delivery, non-delivery, classical supply KPIs. What you're also seeing is Joule as a digital assistant, where it's very complex for a planner to find out why certain demand was unfulfilled. Yeah, There's a number. And the option he has today is, for example, going through all the logs and find out which constraints led to an unfulfilled demand for that specific customer. Maybe the customer is calling and asking why I'm not getting my stuff. Now, if you're saying we have Joule, we can say, okay, just give me some statistics about the last optimizer run, yeah? Not too fancy, how long did it run, what are the variables, and so on. But you can also go further and further, right? To say, okay, what are the KPIs? And also tell me, why is something happening? Why is the unfulfilled demand so low? Where are the constraints? And you will get an actual answer, right? Something like insufficient supply, limited resource capacity. You can really boil it down to something that is understandable for a user. And then you can also go down and say, okay, tell me for this exact combination, why is it not fulfilled or unfulfilled, right? I will give you the exact idea which resources led to this, maybe which prioritization of another customer led to this, and so on. So it's really making it super easy for you, a planner, to understand this black box optimization. That has always been a problem when we think about trusting a solution. Yeah? And that's one use case. Others are, for example, a full-blown planning assistant. Let's say you can also say, okay, where's my inventory for this and this product, yeah? And instead of going into transactions and through 5 systems and trying to find out what the warehouses across the world are storing for this raw material, will give you a graphical representation of where your inventory is at. Can create stock orders, stock transfer orders, for example. Yeah? So it can really support the planner in their activities. And that is, I think, the key difference to what we're seeing with the general machine learning, for example, where more of the plan, like getting a better plan. And this is really about helping the planner to achieve their daily tasks and their daily goals. And I think that's one of the key, specifically for supply chain, that's one of the key differentiating factors also between AI and generative AI that we are seeing. And both are relevant. So you will not, the classical machine learning and AI use case optimization will not go away. They're one layer of it, and the other layer is on top then to make it easier for a planner to do their daily work. So it's really 2 sides of the same medal that is called AI. So that's one use case that we are seeing, right? But there are really a lot of use cases behind this. We've just delivered the first ones as part of the IBP, as our supply chain planning solution. So it's moving really fast in that direction, which is nice. And I think the gain you'll get out of this is a lot of automation, because if for example, think about the demand forecasting. Yeah? If you reach forecast accuracy of over 80-90%, how much value add are you getting from consensus demand planning, from manual inputs from people? Yeah. How much value add do you get from manual segmentation if you're looking at your product segmentation, for example? There is a lot of actions that are replaced by technology these days when it comes to that. And the focus that the planners are having in the next 10-15 years is really to take a look at the things technology cannot solve. Yeah, there are still a lot of tasks where someone needs to take the decision a planning system cannot take or should not take also. Yeah, so the daily task of the people are shifting. They're not going away, as you mentioned, right? Even though there is always this mind of everyone is kind of this alarm signal saying, well, my job is going to be rationalized away. It's a shift, really. And it also comes with a change management and comes with a lot of training, yeah, to move into a new direction. You need less people who are really able to scroll and understand the details of everything because it's explained to you, yeah. You need less people to trying to beat the system, because what are you beating with over 90% forecast accuracy in these cases? So there's also a mind shift. So AI has a lot to do with change management in these projects. That's what we are seeing, yeah? Trusting the process, trusting the solution takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and a well-managed project also in these cases. But, what's in there is really competitive advantage, faster planning processes, more automation, faster decision-making, better decisions also that are taken, and you get the value back from your investments, yeah?